guys, so today's video is going to be a first impressions, review, demo kind of thing on the brand new Sigma 3D HD blender. I'm so excited to see how this applies my foundation, blends out my concealer and my cream contour. So if you guys are interested in seeing that too and hearing my first impressions and thoughts on it, then just simply keep on watching. So inside this little contraption I have two of the 3D HD blenders. So these are actually launching on sigmabeauty.com on the 27th of February and they're going to retail for $15 US. So I'm also an affiliate and I do actually have an affiliate coupon code that you guys can use. It is just Hannah, and if you enter that at checkout, that'll actually take 10% off your orders. So you can use that code if you decide to purchase one of these and get a little bit of a discount. And then just as a bit of a price comparison for you guys, the original beauty blender retails on Sephora.com for $20 US and this will be $15 US. Then you also have the option to use someone's 10% off coupon code. So it is cheaper than a beauty blender, but is still what I would consider kind of like up there in the high-end range of things with makeup sponges. So you might look at the shape of this one and think like, why is it so many weird angles and why is it such a weird shape, and is there even a purpose to it? Because I know from my personal experience there are a lot of brands that have brought out different types of makeup sponges and they all seem to be really wacky shapes and sizes, and it's pretty much just for shits and giggles. Like, it's not for any rhyme or reason. It's very different with the 3D blender. What they've actually done is they've combined the idea of a makeup sponge, like a typical beauty sponge, with their 3D HD kabuki sharp lines. So I still remember when I heard my gal pal Chelsea Randall saying how amazing the 3D HD kabuki was for cream contour, and she was right. This is literally all I've used ever since I got it for blending my cream contour up the side of my face, just because I found if I use like my normal beauty sponge, like a beauty blender, it really dispersed the product too much and sort of took away from that super harsh line. And if you're a bit like me, I don't really like baking. Like, I want to put as less product on my face as possible essentially, but still have that super beat base, if you know what I mean. This is just meant to be a really multi-purpose product, perfect for foundation. They suggest using either the flat bottom side of it or the rounded side for your foundation, then the tip for your concealer, and then the actual really sharp sort of longer edge for your cream contour, and then you can also use it for baking too. So I'm really excited to give it a try and just see how it blends out all my cream products. So I'm going to quickly go and wet it and then I can compare it to the black one to see how much bigger in size it gets. It feels more dense than a beauty blender. It actually reminds me a lot of sort of the denseness of the Real Technique sponges. So if you've felt them, it kind of feels similar to that. It's a little bit different feeling, so I'll wet it and we'll see what it's like then. As you can see, I've gone and dampened the pink sponge. It has grown a lot in size and it is a lot softer now that it is damp. You can of course use them dry if you want to, but I feel like to get the best results with any sort of makeup sponge, it is really good to have them just slightly damp. They don't have to be saturated. I just put mine under water and squeezed it twice, and this is how much bigger it got. It's much softer too. Much softer now that it's damp. So I've already primed, so now it's time for foundation. I'm going to be using my Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation in the shade Y245, or also known as 120. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually put some of this on a compact, just on a hard surface like this, so I can actually dab the blender into it. I'm going to start off by using the actual flat side of it and just dab my beauty blender straight into it and start blending it. Okay, so very first impressions, first thing I noticed is it's super big. So like I covered my face in foundation really quickly. Second thing I noticed, it is so easy to get around your nose with this side angle. Like the fact you can just get right in around the inner corners of your nose with those sharp edges, that's amazing. And it feels really good on the face. Like, it's much softer than what it was when it was dry, and bouncing it on my skin, it just is very like nice and soft, like it's not hard or anything like that. And I don't think it's soaking up too much of my foundation. The lights might wash it out a little bit, but I feel like it's very much sitting on the surface. Like, I don't feel like it like drank up a lot of the product I actually even put on it, because usually when I use a brush I would use 2 to 3 pumps of foundation, and I have used 2 full pumps and I still have a little bit of product left sitting there. So far, foundation, it gets my tick of approval, definitely for foundation. I feel like it like didn't shear out my foundation massively either, like there's not that big of a difference now to what it looks like if I like use a brush. I also like how this flat side, it's actually really easy to sort of maneuver around your brows too if you need to put additional product. Like I'm finding that I'm not getting as much product in my eyebrows compared to what I usually would. So next up I'm going to go in and conceal and highlight my face. So I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I forgot what it was called for a second. And I've got the shade Fair Neutral and Light Neutral because I'm kind of in between, so I use a little bit of both. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply that all over my face, and then we're going to blend that out and see how it goes. It's just, because it's so much bigger than like the Beauty Blender, that just takes like half the time to blend out. I'm really, really impressed with it so far. Now the moment of truth is going to be for the inner corners. I think I'm going to start with using the inner corner, but the round side. I feel like this sponge definitely does not soak up product like the Beauty Blender does. Like it's like just blending it across my skin without drinking half of it up, because usually half of my concealer would be gone by now. So I think I definitely used too much under my eyes because it's not soaking up as much product as what other makeup sponges do for me usually. And yeah, that point's really nice to get in around my eyes too. Yeah, that did a really good job. So I was kind of already expecting it to do pretty well with foundation and concealer. I feel like the real test is going to be with my cream contour. So today I'm using one of my favorites, which is the Clinique Chubby Stick in 01 Curvy Contour. So it is just a contouring stick, as you can see. So I'm just going to apply it around my face and we'll see how it blends it out. And I'm going to go in with this sharp side. It certainly blended out my cream contour really nicely. Still, it's kind of a lot more diffused than what it would be if I was using my 3D Kabuki. It's still a lot more precise than if I use like my normal beauty blender, but still not quite as precise as if you use the brush, which I think is something to expect when you're using a sponge. Like even with that super sort of harsh defined line, it's still going to diffuse the product a little bit more sort of flawlessly than with a brush. And when I'm cream contouring, usually the reason why I'm cream contouring is because I want that super cut line. So I will bake, but first I'm just going to quickly jump off camera and set the rest of my face and use some powder bronzer to set my face too, and then I'll come back and we'll try baking with it. So I'm going to go in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder to bake. Because the sponge is so large, this sort of angle does not actually fit in the powder, as you can see. So I'm going to use the base, and I'm going to be using one of the sharp angles to really sort of carve out my contour. So let's see how it goes. It definitely applied my bake really, really, really easy. So that's a plus. That was definitely much easier than using other sponges. Okay, so now that's been on for a couple minutes, I'm just going to go ahead and use my large powder F30 brush and just brush it off. Oh yes. That looks lovely. Okay. I'm very impressed with it. So guys, I have the rest of my makeup on, and honestly, this is the most flawless my makeup has looked in such a long time. Like in particular, my foundation and my cream contour. So even though Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation blends like a dream no matter what you're using it with, it just feels a lot more airbrushed today. Like this sponge, I think because the face surface is just so massive, I was able to really blend the product in larger sections, getting more consistency in the finish versus like when I use a brush or my beauty blender. So I'm just so stoked on this. And then when I first blended out my cream contour, I was kind of like, oh, I think I still prefer a brush. But now that I'm looking at the whole entire finished result, it has definitely blended out so much more seamlessly than what it ever has with a brush. So I am so happy with this product. And then it even made baking easy, and I usually hate baking my face, and I enjoyed it today because I just literally used that flat angle, and it was just so easy to get a super straight line and get into the inner corners and blend my concealer. And I feel like my base makeup application actually took me like half the amount of time. I'm gonna have to go back through and actually look on the footage how long overall it took me, but I feel like I did my makeup a lot quicker than usual today, and I think that's to do with the fact that it's a much bigger size sponge. And I'm just obsessed, like finally a sponge that is designed in a certain shape for a reason. I'm super stoked with it, and I would highly recommend picking it up next time you guys are due for a makeup sponge. But when I need a new sponge, I'm 110% going to be buying these ones over any other makeup sponge that is currently available, because just the angles on this and how quickly it applied my makeup was fecking insane. I am obsessed. So I'm going to actually give this product a 10 out of 10. A 10 out of 10. I don't think it has any cons or any negatives to it. I'm really happy with it. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or if I didn't mention something, just leave me a comment below. I will get straight back to you, and you guys know I love having a chat to you in my comment section. And if you're a new face, welcome to my channel. Please do subscribe before you leave, and I'll be talking to you guys really soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.